Today's topic is we will see how to create mashup by using hypercubes. Okay,
Okay.
so what is hypercube? When you're creating mashup, we are doing the designings from the front end. Like we have to first create the visualizations in the Qlik Sense desktop, and then in mashup we have to
Mm-hmm.
create a frame. It can be a grid base, it can be a single page. So and there you can drag these objects from the one or multiple sheets to create a mashup, and that would itself treated as a API which can be consumed in other third-party websites as we created in the past session. Now
Yeah.
the Hypercube is one of the powerful feature of Qlik Sense. By using Hypercube, you can create mashup on the fly. And you don't have to create the Qlik Sense object in the Qlik Sense desktop and then you have to consume there. Rather than this, straight away you can create the objects in the Qlik Sense hub in the mashup without creating the object here in the Qlik Sense desktop. And the benefit of the mashup
Oh.
is you can also consume the third party uh, extension codes. Say for example, in Qlik Sense we have certain number of visualizations starting from the bar chart to box plot to map object to scatter plot. However, instead of this list, if you need something extra which is not there in this Qlik Sense list, but it is also there in Qlik Sense branch. So Qlik Sense has an object library which is available in branch.qlik.com. Okay, and that objects we can bring to Qlik
Okay.
Sense framework and we can use it effectively as part of the Qlik Sense mashup of API. Okay, so let's see how to create hypercubes and what are the benefits, and let us capitalize the features of hypercubes in today's session. Okay, let me first go to Qlik Sense hub. So, for example, we are here in Qlik Sense desktop, and we will go to Qlik Sense Development Hub, and we'll also understand the features of Hypercube and how it is automatically generate the JavaScript code base. So I would suggest in order to understand Hypercube, the one who is learning must be having the knowledge on JavaScript. It's a little bit technical. It's not like as a Qlik Sense, as a classic Qlik Sense, we are so far using absolutely GUI based platform. We are not even touched to a single code, right? Everything is console based.
Mm-hmm.
But in order to create this
Right.
visualization, we have to understand the JavaScript code. We have to very well understand the HTML framework. We have to understand the CSS, etc.
Okay.
So before we succeed, would like to know about your prior competency on the JavaScript. If not, then I'll also try to touch base with those areas.
I have no idea about JavaScript. I
Oh,
never worked on it.
so okay. So let me just try to create a mashup. Then we'll go a little bit slower actually. Before I go for
Mm-hmm.
creating a hypercube, because it would be completely overflow if you go to directly mashup hypercube, and we will create JavaScript without understanding the features. So today we will try to more focus on the JavaScript, as you said, like you don't have the knowledge. So I will create the hypercubes. Before I consume anything, I will try to make you understand about the framework of the JavaScript, the the the, the code base it is generating, and then we will consume the JavaScript or the objects which is there in the Qlik Sense branch. Okay.
Hmm.
So we had this one, this particular dashboard we created through Mashup in the last session.
Right.
And today, I will create another object. I will create another dashboard and try to use the hypercubes. So let me just come back to the development edit hub. This is the first screen. Now I have to create another mashup. Uh, so I hope you understand like what is the difference between creating the mashup the way we created in the last session, and we'll see the difference how to create a mashup without using the objects from the Qlik Sense desktop. We can straight away create the objects
Yeah.
in the Qlik Sense hub only. Even if you don't have a single dashboard in the Qlik Sense object, I mean Qlik Sense desktop, you can also create a dashboard over here. Provided you should have a data model in the Qlik Sense. I mean you have to create a first create a
Right.
dashboard, and
Hmm.
you can connect the you can create a data model, and data model has to be consumed here because without data we are nothing. We're nothing to create any visualizations.
Hmm.
So my dashboard name is my first Hypercube mashup. This is for practice, and we will not create a grid mashup template because when we were creating a grid mashup template, it was creating a frame, and it allowing us to drag and drop the objects. So we can do like that, or else we can create a basic mashup template. So that would be kind of hollow or blank template. There should be nothing. We have to create from the scratch. We need to also understand the HTML framework. We will design a HTML frame, and then we'll try to create a hypercubes to accommodate objects there.
Okay.
Now you see when I just selected this visualization QVA files, this option hypercubes and list option has been enabled. Unless until it was not there, nothing was enabled because you at least have to have a dashboard where you should have a database or data model in the backend. Then only you can create a hypercubes because that will all related to the data. Now see, as it is a basic frame to create a dashboard, let us just go to the
Okay.
this is file placeholders. It is allowing. It has six placeholders in a single row. So I just divide. I will just try to divide, and I will try to keep uh, individually two placeholders uh, in a single row.
Okay.
Division with this class, this particular class, there are some certain codes written behind this class which will give you the features of a row and column of a table. So we will go with the division as well as we'll go with the tables also. So I'm just trying to divide
Yeah.
this one to multiple placeholders. Now you would see that it is okay. Let me create a table framework. I'm just passing qv 053405 like that. Okay. Or let it be in the divisions. Okay. Now we will try to understand the JavaScript file. See, basically, we don't have to touch all these predefined codes. Here, there are some templates are there where we can add something or customized code. This area is useful for creating a callback function. Now, what is a callback function? This function will, we have to define the objects which will be created in the JavaScript, and that would be created as a method. Okay, that would be created as a uh, method. So that methods
Okay.
or that functions has to be
Mm-hmm.
called here by using the callback function. Say I have a bar chart, a pie chart, a area chart, a line chart. For each chart, there will be a function,
Mm-hmm.
and in the function that could be multiple parameters. I hope you understood, right? You from the basic
Yeah.
programming background.
I know Java though. Uh-huh.
What is a
I know.
function? What is the
Right.
parameters? What are the signatures? Hmm.
Mm.
If you are not understand that, just stop.
Right. That I know. Yeah.
Maybe this language may be a little bit technical to understand. So, so,
No. That's okay. I get the point.
so
What
in
is the
order to
method?
create a
I know
object,
Java, so I'm good at
okay, then pretty good. So Java and JavaScript
it.
is fairly confident. So
Okay.
these are the objects will be inserted here, and these are the uh, functions which will be called to describe those objects or display those objects, and these are the cubes or the
Mm-hmm.
data source path which will be inserted here. However, we don't have to do anything manually. By using hypercubes, we can create those. Okay.
Okay.
Before I go and create a new hypercube, I would like to make you understand about the last dashboard which we created and the JavaScript file which was automatically created behind the scenes.
Mm-hmm.
Here we have JavaScript file. So now you would see there would
Right.
be a callback function. Yes. So what these
Mm-hmm.
codes these are not going to be interacted. Even if we will not also create these codes, the parameter which will be
Hmm.
defined here, starting from this, we have to create this. So app, this one, this is the qv file, and this is the object, get object property. Like, we have to define an ID, and that would be a kind of frame, in which frame
Sorry.
that object code or the ID will be passed. So these are the unique codes of the objects, which is automatically created by while dragging the codes, but we can define our object code by ourselves when we will create a hypercubes.
Okay.
So what we'll do for a reference, I'll just copy this code and keep in a notepad. So we had called these objects, this one.
Hmm. Why am oh, yeah.
But it's not loading here. It's loaded, right?
Right. Hmm.
Huh. So
Yeah, I have it.
only the IDs are passed, and that ID has been called in the JavaScript side.
Hmm.
We don't have any object passed inside this. With the only
Hmm.
object IDs.
Defines.
Okay, QV 1,
Right.
2, 3, 4. When we are creating an object in ClickQ also, individual object was treated as it's having an individual unique ID. So the ID we have to define,
Hmm.
and this particular division will be treated as a object, and that object code, object ID will be called in the JavaScript file to create a hypercubes here.
Hmm.
This is particularly uh, code, and this particular code is generated while creating the object. So now it is a little bit different from hypercubes, because hypercube would have some properties. So let us try to understand hypercube base mashup. First of all, we have to create a click here and add hypercube. There are basically two types of hypercube, we can say. Either it is a list or hypercube. Hypercube is
Hmm.
object, and list are the filters.
Okay.
Now you see, uh, we, you know, the way we are creating the chart in ClickQ earlier, when we are adding a object,
Hmm.
it is asking for a dimension and a and an expression, right,
Hmm.
and a measure.
Right. Right.
So here also,
Hmm.
it is asking me for a dimension for a measure. So if you have already created dimensions in the Qlik Sense desktop in the master library, those dimensions will be populated over here. If you have already created some
Mhm.
measures in the Qlik Sense master library, that will also be created over here. So basically we don't have to write the script from the scratch to create uh, dimensions and
Measures and
measure. I would like
dimensions.
to
Yeah.
see, I would like to just take you to the past activity what we did in the Qlik Sense desktop and where exactly it is populating, from where it is populating. These are all we actually created explicitly
Mm-hmm.
while creating the Qlik Sense master library. But if you don't have anything over
Right.
here, you can straight away also create from the scratch by using the field. So all the fields of the table will be populated here. And the benefit why we're
Mm-hmm.
creating dimensions and measure is to have the clarity on the data and to reduce
Yeah. By
the
while creating the UI. Right.
so these are all our dashboards and at the time of creating this we have this master items. You would see the dimensions which we have created here: customer, date, month, quarter, year, and all these time dimensions and the demography. And in the measure, count, effective discount, quantity, revenue, sales, the same thing is populating here in the Hypercube. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
and these are all the dimensions we have created. Demography is also drill down master
It's a drill down.
dimension.
Right.
So it's better to create the more number of dimensions and measure while you're starting creating a dashboard, so that you can take the benefit of using it on the fly. Now
Mm-hmm.
we will very simply create a add a dimension, a measure. If something is not there in our list, we can also go and create the drag the fields. And in order to have
Mm-hmm.
to distinguish lot of fields, those are there in a long list. You can simply search out here like item. Okay, item descriptions is the field, and
Mm-hmm.
I can simply treat this as a dimension. So I I'll just double click over here because I'm adding the dimension. It's a kind of dimension field. It
Mm-hmm.
will be added to the dimension. If you want to add more also, you can do it.
Okay.
If you want to customize it, you have this FX editor, FX for formula, and then you can write
Mm-hmm.
this thing in the web part. So Qlik Sense
Okay.
Mashup is basically
Same like the sensor.
getting the entire dashboard in the web. Even if you don't
Mm-hmm.
have, and then you can also directly go to this Qlik Sense Hub anywhere from the browser. I have this Mozilla. I will go to Qlik Sense Hub directly.
Hello, Amit, are you talking something? I'm not able to hear.
Oh, I told a lot of things, but sorry, I was muted. So, I was
Oh,
telling
sorry.
like,
I thought you were talking somewhere else.
no, no, no.
Sorry.
I was describing about this only. All right. So let me just tell again.
Oh,
Like, why it is called a hypercube? Hypercube is something related to the cube. Okay, cube is on an object, right?
mm-hmm.
On an object of BI, it is
Mm-hmm.
an object of it is the output of your SSAS analytics service, Microsoft analytics service, or it is used also in MicroStrategy. So this term is not new to the BI. It's a cube, which is an object which stores certain number of
Mm-hmm.
dimensions and certain number of measures, and that can be called anytime to create a visualization on the fly. So that's what the cube is. So when I say hypercube, it is something related to wave, because you see HTML is a hypertext markup language. So like this, hypercube is a cube which is which can be directly used in the wave in form of HTML and JavaScript. So that's what the hypercube is. Now I want to add the measure here. You can directly go from the FX formula editor, or else you can add a measure. So order,
Mm-hmm.
so it is added over here. You can go for a table, and this is similar to the Windows Qlik Sense date amount and sum of this. You can do like this, else you can use a dimension and a measure. So when I will add dimension, normally it will be double click and add it to the dimension. When I will measure, it will by default take into the measure, customer
Mm-hmm.
wise or revenue. Okay, so it's done like this. And then mode, whether it is going to be a pivot table or straight table or a stack. So I will just create a simple chart or some simple visualization, just making for research. Straight, suppress zero value if there should be something in the dimension and measure which don't have any link up with the dimension or measure. That means that value should be treated as zero. Some customers who may not have revenue in the transaction table, then that would be treated as a zero. Their value would be treated as zero. By choosing this option, those customers would be omitted from the chart. So I will say let it be. And this missing, suppress missing, like zero and missing are mostly the same. Like if you have some measures are zero against the dimension, it would be choosing this one. If measures are there but dimensions are blank, you can choose this. Those measures and dimension both will be restricted. So I will just take these two
Okay.
rows. It will be normally 20 number of items will be listed on the single frame. That's what the row is. And callback function. So when you are creating a chart, this is the function which would be uniquely identify that particular hypercube. Okay, hypercube name we have not given anything right here. So when you are giving a callback function, that function is going to be the unique name of that particular chart or that particular hypercube, which will be called and consumed in the code. Okay, so make sure when you are creating multiple hypercubes in an object to create a dashboard, avoid making duplications. Always give a unique name to Hypercube,
Hmm.
and that should be understandable by you so that you can easily call it.
Okay.
My object. My object. So this should be basically a function where dimension would be customer and revenue would be measure. Hypercube was added successfully to the code. So it is not an object which will be not something which will be shown here. It would be instantly added to the code. Now let's see and let's try to understand how the code
Hmm.
is created. This is JavaScript. Now you see here, starting from this callback function. So I just say what is our callback function name is my object.
Right.
Reply app, and this is the parameters, and I have not declared anything over here inside this function. Object name which we called in order the data model which we have called in order to create this dashboard is the WAMC POC dashboard. Get object
Mm-hmm.
inserted here, like what type of object we will create, that code will also be creating here, and create queue and this. So mostly the database things like will be created here in this particular part, like in for a chart it is a dimension and a measure we have declared. So in the cube initialize data fetch, we don't have to touch this. Basically cube is created, and in this cube the dimension is customer, the customer name is this one, dimension name, and measure is this one. Okay, it is declared. So don't try to change these codes, otherwise it will be because JavaScript is very case sensitive as Java.
Yeah.
Suppress zero property is true, suppress missing property is true, we have declared. And finally my object, which is a function which has been declared over here.
Hmm. Okay.
Now we have added the cube, and we have added this mm, function, but we have not declared any object. That, I mean, what type of object, what type of chart it will be created. Okay, that we have to also write in the JavaScript.
Hmm.
First, this is a function, and this is the declaration of this cube. Uh, yeah, cube,
Right.
and this particular cube is going to be the data of this particular function. So that's why this function has been declared in this last. So as long as the more number of chart will be created, the more number of cubes and more number of callback functions would be created. Okay, but if the dashboard is one, from where we are picking the data, this open app would be one. Otherwise, if you have all the data from multiple dashboards also, multiple open app functions will be called. Okay, now
Mm-hmm.
um, though we have added the code, the data behind, but we have not declared which object it will be created, and we have not also created anything in the HTML page. Just like we have to
Okay.
declare that thing in the JavaScript part, the code base of this object in the JavaScript part, and here in the HTML page, we have to just in this get object part, this is HTML page, right? So what we have to do, we have to create an object, and that object code has to be added to the sheet, and that object id will be called in the get object part, just like
Mm-hmm.
this code, right? App.get object will be called
Right.
inside that get object section in this part particularly. If we have not declared anything, then how come our object will be populated here, right? So the object will not be populated unless until we have a
Get object.
function,
Right.
right? Now where this
Mm-hmm.
code is coming
Mm-hmm.
from? This code is coming from our HTML part, like this one and this one, right? 3, 4, and 6 object can be
Mm-hmm.
accommodated in this screen. So how many get object methods can be declared? We can have 6 methods, and at the time we declare the get object method, in we declare the object here in this JavaScript part, that code will be populated. So far it is not there. So how we can get the object code to create a JavaScript, to sorry, how we can create a JavaScript file of a bar chart, a pie chart, a line chart, area chart, because we have nothing here. So we have to go to branch.qliksense.com.
Okay.
Now this is the portfolio where you can get the entire codes, JavaScript codes of object, the libraries basically, and this can be added as an extension.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I say extension, that means something which is not there in our list. We are taking it as an add-on, but the basic
Okay.
charts are also available, like bar, pie chart. All those charts are there in our Qlik Sense desktop. The JavaScript code is also available for this, because Qlik Sense is a web-based editor only. This editor, which you are able to see also, this is completely a web-based editor. It is running inside a browser, Qlik
Mm-hmm.
Sense desktop browser. So complete code
Right.
which is generated behind the scenes and everything is a web-based, and JavaScript is
Mm.
written behind the scenes. So in the Qlik branch, you have to go to projects. You can see list of the projects available in for Qlik Sense and Qlik.
Amit, you're mute again, or I don't
Looks like I forget my password.
know.
Yeah, it is loaded.
So these are not free, right?
No, these are free,
Uh, no.
because it is Qlik library only.
Mm-hmm.
You can see these are all the objects. We'll take a very simple objects.
Mm-hmm.
It's a button. It's a network chart. So dot matrix is a dot chart. First type change bar chart. See export. This is an extension to use for export objects.
Okay.
Data of your object can be exported. If you are able to understand this
Mm-hmm.
Hypercube pretty well, then you can first, you can just capitalize all these extensions, even if it is not there in the Qlik Sense. And definitely in your real-time scenario, they will say
Mm-hmm.
create a control to export your data to PDF or to Excel. How do you do it? It's not there in the
Okay.
Qlik Sense desktop. You have to add an
Okay.
extension.
Mm-hmm.
Qlik Sense variable. This is a KPI object. So timeline object. This is a combo chart. It needs two measures. So I'm just showing you the pattern. You need to read and understand each
Right.
control, because individual controls are kind of individual blocks, okay, or
Mm-hmm.
individual projects. So that has to be read carefully and added to the plugin. You want to describe multiple dashboards. You want to create multiple dashboards, and there should be a button to next and previous, which is not inbuilt in Qlik Sense. There you can create over here.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It's a live view of this object.
Oh, nice.
In order to download the code of this, we need to first log into this Qlik Sense branch actually that I'm not able to.
Hmm.
I had the user ID. Let me just make a forget password. Oh, it's asking for username.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So I actually given wrong ID. That's why
Email
I was
address.
not
Yeah.
able to correct that.
Hmm.
So when I could just log into this, I can see there are some downloadable JavaScript file. And that JavaScript file can be used in your Qlik Sense framework.
Hmm.
And finally, we need to do all this customization, and then the code can be generated.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So you have to take this to the uh, extension folder. To take it to the Qlik and sense an extension. And here we have to unzip that.
Right.
The JavaScript file is created. This variable and this qv click extension file. Okay.
Okay.
So you need to pursue that step and add that code in the JavaScript file.
Mhm.
One extension is added here. When I'm adding this extension,
Right.
that is added that variable button is added here. Create a new variable. I don't know how to use it.
Mhm.
Okay, we'll just prepare some extension tomorrow. I'll just try to consume in the
Okay.
sections uh, hypercubes, because the JavaScript codes can
Mhm.
directly be uh, written in the hypercubes to create the something here, or else the extension can be added to this Qlik Sense desktop, and while creating a mashup, you can be able to using it. Okay, I'll just prepare some because in the
Using
class
extensions. Okay.
it will take some time to do this. I'll prepare some extensions and just so you just describe. Okay.
Right. Okay. And if possible, can you